The world is changing, my friends, and part of this is due to Donald Trump, but admittedly, Donald Trump didn't create the current cultural revolution that we're going through. He's a product of it. And now we have this story from the Daily Wire. Trump destroys fundraising records, rakes in $300 million for re-election campaign. This is the most well-funded re-election campaign in history, according to fundraising numbers released last week. But today, this segment is kind of a follow-up to my main channel video because this culture revolution isn't just about Donald Trump shattering records, rallying a massive base, filling stadiums. It's also about the other side. As I mentioned in the previous video, the next AOC launches 2020 campaign. Every single person in Texas agrees with me. So we've got two things to consider. The first story I want to go through, and the lead, as it were, is Donald Trump shattering this record. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out that there is a new political landscape, and it is not Hillary Clinton's. And my next segment's going to be about that, so I'll follow up. But let's start talking about Trump and this fundraising, but then also talk about the far left's great rise to power as well. I'll be interested to see, moving forward, if the far left can actually survive and overtake the moderates. The Daily Wire reports, that Politico reports, actually, maybe we can just pull up Politico, that Trump and the Republican National Coalition have raised more than $300 million. And the president alone has $158 million cash on hand to kick off his re-election bid, more than any other sitting president at this point in his campaign. Now, did you adjust that for inflation? I must ask, but let's read on. The numbers have Democrats worried. And at least one strategist told the Washington, D.C.-based news outlet that, quote, the resources he has will be put to work anywhere and everywhere that he feels like he can scare up electoral votes, and Democrats will never catch up. It's just too much money. That's crazy. More than any other president at this point in their campaign. All of the Democrats, when you break them up, like Bernie raised, I think, something like 30 million, is pretty good. But here's the most important point, and this is why I do want to bring up the far left. Bernie voters, for the most part, are not going to support anybody else. So that 30 million might as well just be for a different political party. One of the big things you got to take into consideration with fundraising numbers is that everyone is donating to one Republican. So he gets everybody. But the Democrats are fractured. It's a primary season. So people are donating to the primary candidate they like. I mean, I donated to Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. I wouldn't donate to anybody else. I got to admit, I do have respect for Bernie in a lot of ways, but I think he's tried playing the political game too hard for me, and he's gone establishment, endorsing Hillary, making identitarian comments, turned me off from a lot of what he's proposing. So, sorry. But here's the point. If, say, we got to a point where it was just Elizabeth Warren, I would not donate. And that's the important point that needs to be brought up about the Democrats today. It's what I was mentioning in the previous video on my main channel, the Bernie or bust mentality. So many people on Twitter are saying Democrat here, but Yang or bust. And I'm like, yeah. And a lot of the Yang voters are saying I'm voting for Yang, but would consider Tulsi, and vice versa. Not only do you have Bernie or bust, you've got Yang and Tulsi or bust. And I'm going to have to say it. I'm right there. I am going to vote for Tulsi. She is my first choice. And I know absolutely she is not perfect. And I have been, I put it this way, like something like Trump, I'm on the negative side of, but I can still respect the things he's done. So I think it's fair to say, actually, if you look at national level polls, I'm in, the national level polls kind of reflect who I am as a milquetoast fence sitter, being that my approval of Trump is in the high 30s, low 40s, being that mostly I'm not a fan of him for character reasons, for foreign policy issues, and that means I'm not going to support him, right? My approval rating is probably 38%, not even the average necessarily. I lean a little bit lower than the average. But I will stress, as somebody who tries to be analytical and who's willing to speak with Trump supporters and understand them, I understand why it's inverted for Trump supporters. I get it. I'm just where I am. Tulsi, I'm inverted, right? So my disapproval of Tulsi is in the mid 30s because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of policy issues I disagree with her on, but there's principal issues. There's her service record. There's the relatability with the smear machine, which I also can give to the Trump supporters too. We're right here as brothers and sisters of a nation who are being smeared. But I'll tell you one thing. You know why the left hates Tulsi, and which probably explains why I do like her? They smear her as a nationalist. And that's really, really funny. I don't consider myself a diehard overt nationalist, But Candace Owens tweeted something that made me be like, this is exactly why I think there is a commonality between Trump supporters and Tulsi fans, and Yang fans for that matter. And it's because we care about country more than politics. We just happen to disagree. And it's as simple as that. It's why I can walk up to a guy with a MAGA hat and be like, let's talk about what we think we can do better. Because we all agree, we love America, we want America to succeed, and where it falls apart is, I like Tulsi's policy proposals on these core issues, and I don't like Trump's policy proposals, and I gotta admit, for me, it's almost entirely foreign policy. And there is some criticism for Tulsi, I get it. But I don't know. I don't know how I got off on this tangent, but here's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not gonna support anybody else. So when you look at the money that Trump has raised, and you wanna consider the far left rise as well, the big play here that needs to be considered, the Democrats who have donated to the full pot, right? When they say Democrats all together have raised, $200 million, or what, I think the number is like 150 or something. It's less than what Trump has raised. It may be more now because the next quarter numbers are coming in. But Trump has raised more than all Democrats combined. That means the money going to Trump is from people who are putting their money where their mouth is. They're going to vote for Trump, okay? But get this. If you were to combine all of the Democrat fundraising and say, but consider how much money Democrats have raised, which means when the primary, when the individual wins the nomination and goes to primary, they may have comparable numbers to campaign off of, full stop. The people who voted for Bernie will not support Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, or otherwise. So you might as well not combine those numbers and break it down to the individuals. We're not looking at a two-party race. The Democrats are fractured by candidate. I think Pete Buttigieg is a cool guy. I would never vote for him. I disagree with his foreign policy stances. They seem sophomoric. Elizabeth Warren has some good takes on big tech. Never going to vote for her. She seems duplicitous. Joe Biden, don't get me started on Joe Biden. What is that guy even? I don't even know what he's doing. I don't even know. He was the pick for VP, and I don't even know what he believes in, okay? You've got Andrew Yang, massive list of policy proposals. No governmental experience, no foreign policy experience, and those are where my mind is because I primarily used to do conflict overseas and urban civil unrest and stuff. So yeah, I have a very heavy view focused on like conflict, and that brings me to Tulsi Gabbard, who is the staunch anti-war candidate, who's a major in the National Guard, and that being a major in the National Guard is like you get all the points in the world because after that I'm just like you're a person of integrity, you have strived and worked very very hard. You have committed yourself to serving this country, both in politics and in military service. And that is a love for America I can't help but respect. So I got to be honest, that's like the biggest factor. Her commitment to opposing wars. Anyway, I don't want to keep getting into that. Tulsi's been in the news lately. And part of the reason why I want to like vent on like why I do like her has to do with a lot of Trump supporters ragging on her progressive policies. But here's what Candace Owens tweeted. She said that, basically, you can disagree with her on policies, but you respect that she truly does love America. And I'm like, yes. So while we disagree on the ultimate end result of what our political positions are, imagine a country where you have Tulsi's people on one faction and Trump's on the other, and that's a functioning, strong eagle with two strong wings. Mutual respect for the love of our country and a disagreement on policy, and we will argue. But at the end of the day, it's not hard to sit down with a Tulsi supporter and a Trump supporter and a Tulsi Gabbard supporter can sit down and laugh about the absurdity in the media and the press and how we're being smeared and completely disagree. And that's basically what I did with Glenn Beck. So anyway, you get the point. Let's read a little bit more of this about their assessment on Trump and his numbers. The Democratic presidential contenders collectively have outraised Trump. See, there is important information. But as Democratic strategists point out, the money is going to cross purposes. Each individual candidate is using their war chest to attack others. And there's no guarantee that any candidate alone will be able to spark the same excitement as the field has collectively. There it is, plain and simple. So I must make sure I add this point as well, that the money that Democrats have is being used to smear other Democrats. And you know what that means? That's money being spent for Donald Trump. Yep, I just said it. When Bernie runs a campaign ad saying Elizabeth Warren is bad for this reason, that is money benefiting Donald Trump. You know why? Campaign ads that make her look bad and then she wins the primary will still exist in some form and Trump can still use them. Think about it. Isn't that amazing? You get a Kamala Harris making an ad saying, don't vote, support Kamala Harris, don't support this person. Or you get Kamala Harris on the debate stage saying, Elizabeth, you did X. Then Trump's going to save that clip and be like, Elizabeth, you did X. All of that will be weaponized forever. So even if they outraise Trump, they're still using it against themselves, and it's still Trump's money. There you go. You know, but don't underestimate Bernie or bust. That's the big play here. So I will just briefly mention this because I think you get the point on the other story I was trying to make, is that this new rise of the far left shows the fracture on the Democrat side. And these new primary challenges to moderates shows that it's not a two-party system anymore. It's a three-party system. And the Republicans are the biggest party. And that's why they're going to keep dominating. The far left will not support moderates. I'm sorry. They hate me. Dude, take a look at how the establishment left and the far left treat people like Tulsi, people like me, other politically homeless individuals. Look at Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin desperately tried to be like, I'm a liberal, please. And they're like, get out. We don't want you. It's like, fine. You lost him. There you go. Congratulations. It's so crazy. But I am a perfect example, and so is Tulsi. Tulsi, who has done so much to try and keep moderates and even some conservatives to pull them to the Democrat side through being respectable. Because conservatives don't like Tulsi's policies, but she will treat you with respect. And that goes a long, long way. Anyway, you get the point. Bernie or bust is the end of the Democratic Party. And I don't mean specifically Bernie. I mean the fact that all of these Democratic politicians are trying to take control. There's no central Democrats anymore, right? The Democrats are fractured. Buttigieg does not represent Bernie's voters. Bernie's voters do not represent me. Tulsi's more so do, and so do Yang's. But none of us support each other. So Trump wins. And that's why he's going to raise all, that's why he's breaking records. Anyway, stick around. I got a couple more segments coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.